Music right there. Guys, welcome back to the AM Club on MX24 TV. My name is Godwin Nambo, here always with MFA Akosia Adati. It's time for the news review, but before that, we'd quickly like to ask what your level in the French language is. Do you speak French? If you don't, here's what. Your ability to communicate in the French language. It gives you an upper hand in your travel experience, your career development, even in your own education. And that's why the folks at Alliance Française are inviting you to come over. And they say you should because they have experienced and professional teachers. They have flexible time schedules, so if you're working, you can blend it. They have in-person, online, and hybrid classes. And they also have French for teenagers and children above the age of 3. To register, very simple. Call the following number, 050-128-7814, 050-128-7814, or send them a WhatsApp message on 050-128-7818, 050-128-7818, or you could as well visit their website at afaccra.org. Alliance Française, French up your life today. To help us this morning review the news, we have Damon Osei, who is a youth activist. Good morning, bro.
Good morning, bro.
Welcome. Always good to have you too. And Isefa Kisi is a chartered insurer. And you can see it in the jacket. It's a big man with a bicycle lapel. We are not joking here. Anyways, gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you. How was the weekend?
Wasn't bad. How about yours?
Mine was good though. Demon, it wasn't bad. It's not enough.
Oh no, it was a busy one. Not been too well. Doing a bit of work, preparing for the oncoming year. This last 3 months of the year seems just more behind the scenes work for us than for our organization than for most people. So we're not too out there this last quarter, but we're managing.
Absolutely. It's a fact. You too.
Well,
and making some money.
Man, the stress is real, brother.
My weekend.
I'm not too happy about those materials you sent me to read, man.
Exactly. So my weekend was just in prison home, trying to read a bit, and essentially that, yeah.
I was in your school last week, I met you.
Yeah.
And I could see the time you guys closed, it's like, Charlie, people are studying, people are working hard. Though.
It's crazy.
It's not easy. It's good to have you, gentlemen.
Gordon, I'm curious about the Ghana Union of Professional Students, which you're the chairman for.
Yes.
What exactly is the core?
So the Ghana Union of Professional Students is basically a union that exists in Ghana for all students who are studying courses like law, medicine, so on and so forth, all the professional courses.
Okay.
And basically create platforms for them to better themselves, prepare themselves for the work space, and get access to like opportunities that exist outside the country and within the country for these students, basically.
Okay.
Beautiful. Yes. The future looks bright.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, let's get into it. Let's talk about a menace in our country and all the havoc it's wreaking. Galamsey.
Yeah, I think, we have some things we want to talk about, but what has been your highlights of the weekend? All the news that's been happening over the weekend. Zefa, what's your highlights? What's the biggest news that caught your attention? You say,
For me, obviously, it's a Galamsey issue.
Okay.
Because it's something that we've, as it were, we as Ghanaians, we wanted to help to curb this menace and also help the president's call in terms of his policy direction. But I've been proud to the reportage by Joy News, some station. We thought we were making some strides, but it was sad when Erastus Donko did the reportage and realized it's actually worsening, and it was a great concern too.
Okay. Damon,
yes, so I'd say definitely the Galamsey issue it's abhorrent to see something get this far along as a problem in the country, but also the news that came out about the whole Heavenway Church issue as well also caught my eye. I was very shocked to see that things like this are still going on in this country. I think it's obviously a bridge between the issues with education and as well as our issues with how faith is portrayed in this country and how, we as Christians and, all our different religions in this country sort of engage in or believe in the people who sort of lead these factions. So it was also another very disappointing thing for me to hear.
Okay. Yeah. You also know that on the backdrop of Galamsey, the president met some chiefs over I think nearly the weekend. And you may have heard some stakeholders, people who have keen interest in this Galamsey issues, coming up with their, their battles, their comments, how much they have zero confidence in the president's plea. Now, my question to both of you is that genuine assessments of the president. I get people saying, oh, the president doesn't care. He really doesn't care. It's just a matter of him coming to say things that he thinks that the public would like to hear. I'll put my presidency on the line. One person that's been attacking that comment is Martin Pebu, lawyer Martin Pebu, saying that it is just one of those things that he knows that Ghanaians will like to hear.
Yeah.
I struggle. It doesn't sit well with me to think that the president genuinely doesn't care. I just struggle. Do you genuinely think, what's your overall assessment of the president's attempt to, curb the menace?
Well, I think the president has shown some commitment to start with, because obviously we will need that policy direction to be able to curb the menace. However, bottom line, the bus will always stop with the presidency. I mean, let's just take it a bit back to understand some of the history behind some of these things. So realize that, so in a nutshell, Galamsey has been with us, what we call illegal mining, and it started with petty or the poor folks within the mining community engage in those kind of acts. It wasn't really of a border of concern to us as a people. But in recent times, we realized that there has been the emergence of mechanized illegal mining, which has an adverse effect and contributed to polluting our water bodies, exactly. So I think in President Mohammed's regime, he tried to curb it, but it wasn't really. Until President Akufo-Addo came in, he was very bent on curbing this, and like he rightly said, he was putting his presidency on the line. And so he formed some task force, and he put in measures. Obviously, we wanted it to work, but sometimes it saddens me a bit. Yes, the president can only come up with a decision and his will to let it work, but we know that we put in the military in there, and we know military is noted for kind of discipline. And you don't expect the president to move from Jubilee House to let some of these things work. I mean, you are the military, you are there, the high command, and people are still mining. And there has been a reportage that they even try to protect some of these miners to mine. And like the president rightly said in his speech when he met the National House of Chiefs, rightly so, that he has the policy, but the people to implement it keeps disappointing him. So that I give it to the president. But nonetheless, you keep saying, like Martin Pebu also said, bottom line, you've appointed people to work. They are not working. Get them out of office. Put in people who are hungry for success. There are genuine people who care about this country, who want to make this country work. So if they are not working, obviously you have to get them off and put in people who are willing to work. So for me, I know he has shown a bit of commitment, but at this point, we want him to go a step further and make sure that people who are not working are taking off.
Do you think they are not working? Do you genuinely think they are not working, or that the fight is more difficult than we see from where we sit? We've seen the Natural Lands and Natural Minister, be at the forefront of this fight, talking, having interviews and all that. So do you genuinely think that these people are not working, or the fight is more difficult than we see?
Damon, you want to take a bite of that?
Yeah. So I'd actually say that's one of the issues that I don't think we are fully understanding what goes into curbing the issue, because there are parties who have both a stance in the formal mining sector, right, with all the legislation, all the documentation for proper and actual mining, who are supporting and engaging in these things on the side, or are a part of these smaller cabals and organizations that are engaging in illegal mining. Now, the fine line between the mining sector being one of our highest earning sectors and quote unquote stepping on the toes of people who bring in so much revenue into our economy, who are engaging in these things, is something that on the political aspect, the president and his office obviously need to manage. Right, because these entities also have a bit of influence when it comes to other policies, other industries, other segments of our economy that they can't, they would like to, even if they wanted to curb the menace initially, they can't go up against holistically and say, well, shutting everything down and shutting anything else maybe you have going on. Because in other industries, if we were treating such an issue, you'd have the person's maybe financial assets as a whole being closed down as a source to take someone to court and so on. But then are you going to close down maybe the CEO of a large mining sector's formal mining operation because you are taking them to court for a small Galamsey case? Quote unquote, right? That is where the balance can be. And we'd say Galamsey is an issue. It's affecting our water bodies, it's affecting health in general here in the country. But then can Ghana take that hit right now to say, we're going to do that and put these people on blast to that extent, right? And that's, I think, where the barrier for their execution is coming from. Both, obviously, the menace of corruption that has been a problem throughout this country, and the fact that going up against them in this manner might also hamper their ability to perform in every other industry, right? That's where we always take away from our presidency and our leaders, that they have to manage multiple sectors of the country at the same time. So when we have an issue as Ghanaians in one sector, our eye goes sort of towards that area, and we don't see the adverse effects it may have, or how they have to manage policy making, actions that they take with respect to its effect on other parts of our country and our industries.
Okay, so if I want some clarity here,
Okay.
who is really mining illegally? Because you know the former commissioner for Minerals Commission actually said that at the time that the presidency said, at the time they tried to curb the situation, the local miners seem to have stopped.
Yeah.
And then we have people in high places mining. But clearly, they're not the ones there digging. It is still they're decentralizing the job by making the local miners mine.
Exactly.
Who is really mining illegal? What is the real who is the miner? Is it that if you have acquired a license and you have a certain territory you're going across, or what is making the mining illegal? What is the real core problem here?
So for me, I think we can tackle it in two forms. One, like you said, yes, in as much as you have a license to mine, there are demarcations to which you can. So if you go beyond, obviously, you are mining illegally. And also, if you acquire the license, there's a how you have to mine. Okay, there are certain things you have to do, certain things you don't have to do. However, because nobody is really checking them in terms of how they have to do the mining. And the Asante Hine made mention of the fact that the chiefs are not to be blamed for some of these things because they don't issue concession license to some of these mining companies.
What's the concession license? The license that you need to use to
mine.
Yeah.
Exactly, to mine.
People saying that the president is just doing a lip service. You know, NDC bashing the NPP about this issue. The president has met House of Chiefs, met you know, party faithfuls, and said that, look, I won't shoot anybody if evidence is brought before me. You understand? So how do we begin to post confidence in the president? How do we begin to fight this menace when the president has said that? Because even Lawyer Matipebu has said that shooting to kill is not how to solve this menace. You know, setting soldiers to go and chase people is not. The laws must work. And the president has said that if evidence is presented that this person is illegally mining, they will be dealt with. So how do we merge this? How do we make headway? How do we move forward? Is it that if the shooting to kill is not working and the laws are supposed to work, the president is doing his best in saying that provide evidence that people are illegally mining and we will arrest them? Shouldn't we then just allow the president to do what he's doing?
Actually, I'd say with that statement, that's where the problem is too, in terms of if there is evidence, right? One of the most common ways we're seeing the illegal mining is people going beyond the area given by their concession, right? That is not something that investigation or evidence needs to be provided for. If somebody from the department that issues these licenses goes there, you are aware of what their demarcation is. It's a simple point of going to the location and seeing if they cross the boundaries that have been assigned. There's no extra evidence anywhere that needs to be added to say that if it's about, when it comes to about the area that has been assigned, it is very evident to see if you go to the location, if there are, you know, evidence of mining spaces, holes, so on and so forth, that have been dug and mined at that beyond where their concession has been given. That is evidence of illegal mining, right? And if you can see that, if that's visible to see, this is not a matter of investigation. This is a matter of simply witnessing what is occurring.
So the blame is on the regulatory bodies then?
Definitely. Right? In respect to that particular aspect of the issue, there are people who are illegally mining in terms of doing it without the license at all, or doing it in an inappropriate manner. They are within their limits and all of that, but how they are mining is causing obviously leakages into our water bodies and so on. Right? That is where investigation may have to occur.
Okay, in making progress, as Godwin said, let's make progress. We tackle the issue from, you know, bottom up maybe. How do we? Where's the line between the responsibility of the chiefs, which he met, and said that, listen, if evidence is brought before me and you're a chief and you're found as a culprit or you're culpable, we will prosecute you. If I'm the chief of a community and I'm the custodian of a land, is this and I can allocate land to people, the license that the regulatory bodies give to these miners, does the license cover where you would mine? Where does the chief come in here? Does the chief have a power to give land out? Well, what is it? I want to understand so that we take it away from people, we disarm people, right?
Okay, so just to answer you, I mean, it's simple. The chiefs are the custodian of the land, and there's a reason why the framers of the Constitution were clear in their mind to guarantee the chieftaincy institution under Article 270. It's clear. However, they own the land, but the minerals is vested in the president in trust of the people. Okay. So, which you can find in Article 257, Clause 6 of the 1992 Constitution. So, in as much as the minerals are vested in him, the chiefs own the land, there should be that kind of collaboration between the two. Okay, so that's why I think informed his reason to meet the National House of Chiefs. Okay, but back to your question again. I say that let's put it straight to where we have to put it in terms of the policy implementers. The president is on TV, radio saying, I'm 100% committed. Whoever is caught will not be shielded. He has pushed the ball to the court of the policy implementers. Okay, it will interest you to know that we spent $3 million, okay, in the interministerial committee to acquire certain equipment, drones, speedboats, I mean a bit of helicopters and certain military equipment to ensure that we are able to, curb this menace. Okay, so there's a helicopter flying. We are able to locate if anybody is doing anything. Okay, we have drones to monitor. The point is, how many people were arrested? How many people have been brought for you to say that, okay, President, you give us this tax, we arrested this kind of people, and the President says, okay, free them. Then you have a point to prove. Because as of now, he is on TV, radio saying, don't blame me, I've given my full commitment. Policy implementers, what are you doing? Okay, for me, this is a reassurance for them to go to the field and execute what they are supposed to do. It will bring us much benefits, I should say.
Understandable.
Sad, but let's
maybe we'll move on to the GRA conversation. So,
do you know anyone who has bought a car? Auction car, other
ports. So it's starting soon, or it started already? I think this month.
End of this month.
End of this month. But Damon, is Ghana ready? I know that the Vice President has been championing the whole digitization and all of that. Do you listen? If you go to the port, or anything that looks like a harbor and you have to go through documentation.
Crazy.
At the time that we had to move to the the electronics section, it was chaotic, so much chaos. Do you think that, first of all, the policy or whatever it is from GRA, how do you feel about it? But do you think that this is the time and are we ready?
Okay, so those are two very separate questions. How do I feel about it? I think this is definitely a good way to go in terms of curbing the issue of, people subverting the checks and balances that exist at the ports, right? It is a good solution, but are Ghanaians and Ghana as a whole ready to accept it? Will people take part in it? Will the people at the top levels of both government and industry and so on even participate in it, right? If especially cars that are seized, right? It's very common say that these persons or people would go in and maybe buy these cars for a 10th, a 12th of the price, right? Because they have been seized and locked up at port. Are these people willing to say, okay, now these cars are going to be listed online, so I will go through the normal... If they weren't going through the normal checks and balances when it was in person, they still would not do the same. It's still as simple as a phone call to somebody at port, this car, Chairman, Honorable, this car has come in, it has been seized. We want to know if you are interested in it, and they will not list it on the platform, right?
Interesting.
And they would keep it there at port, and the in-person activity will still occur. It's simply for him to show up and purchase the car. So now my question will be, in terms of everything being seized and everything being placed on the platform, where are the checks and balances behind the scenes for that? And that will be the difference between it working and it's not. If there is no way for a car to be seized and not listed, then you are solving the problem. But if I can still seize a car, I can still lock a car, if somebody does not clear their products and someone can choose not to list it, then you have not solved the problem. You've just created another platform for auctioning and buying of cars. That's all it really is.
They must answer the question. I mean, I don't know what to move from here. I mean, that's really it. Do you have
no, but to add up to it, I think now there's a possible checks and balance in there. You quite remember that the special prosecutor instituted an investigation into the sale of auction cars, and I might think there's a reason why we are going online with the auction sales. Okay. So I think the special prosecutor should keep an eye on some of these things. Obviously, there was a worry because GRA or the ports have been a major source of leakage when it comes to revenue generation for the country. And I think the special prosecutor keeping his eye over the ports, I think we may make some strides in there. Yeah.
I don't think it's just the special prosecutor. I think the fight is for all of us, honestly, because it's a step in the right direction. Yeah. Making it digital is a step, and it's going to solve some level of the problem. Yeah. You know, not all, like you said.
Of course.
We need Ghana card at some point.
At some point.
We definitely need Ghana card.
We definitely need Ghana card. If your Ghana card is missing, you can't even operate in this country.
So it's our fight, really. Journalists, special prosecutor, we have to go there and make sure that, okay, this is the list date, but I see this car there and it's not, you know, we all have to be investigators. We all have to find a way to change.
But
change
actually,
the system.
not to interrupt you, but to add to that, actually, I was coming to say, journalism in this country needs to take a very serious look at some of these things and take the roll up, right? Undercover journalism has become, when we talk about this in Ghana, and everybody's that the name of Anas comes up, right? But there are other. I mean, journalism is a very big industry in this country. A lot more people need to take up those kinds of tasks to say, okay, now that this system has been put into place, I am going to pose as one of these people and attempt to buy a car without going through the checks and balances. And if I am able to, I put it out there that the checks and balances are not working. Because as much as the special prosecutor is keeping an eye on these things, he cannot be there on the ground. But if that information is presented to him, then it is his job to execute, right? Because we keep saying, yes, we believe people are believing the president is protecting certain people. People in high office are protecting certain people. It's the special prosecutor's job to subvert all these things, not protecting anyone, but making sure law and justice is seen or executed, right? So presenting this to him is what I think is our media industry's job.
So talking about journalism, Tiger Eye, you know, investigative material that came up on Charles Bissiou, you know that, so the police has said that they have, you know, exonerated him. He doesn't have a case. Everything is okay. And yet the investigative journalists have come out again to want to outline, to challenge it, that he still needs to be looked at. He needs to go back to court. He needs to, like, it's not a case that you can overlook. I mean, for me as a journalist, yesterday as I was reading about Tiger IP, I said, if I'm a journalist, I'll be demotivated.
I'll give up.
Definitely.
Like the system is fighting you.
Yeah, the system fights you. Go on.
But I think you shouldn't give up. I mean,
it's like unpaid doctors.
It's a huge struggle we'll have to go through. But in as much as there has been some reportage or expose about a person, we should also be oblivious of the fact that the person also have a right to defend himself. And in terms of establishing criminality against a person, he has to be proved beyond all reasonable doubt, and we also have to accord him that right, which is guaranteed under the Constitution. And I say that I've seen Anas response to it, and
he outlined it like a tall list that
it's crazy.
I don't know if the special prosecutor chances on that document.
He would take it
I
up.
think
he should take it up.
He should
take it up. And I think we should all augment the work of the special prosecutor.
Sure.
It's like he's taking on a lot of stuff now, and the citizens have to be vigilantes like our president said. Another problem.
It's no news, it's the dollar, right?
Yes, please. 11 points. Let's leave it at 11 cedis. 11 Ghana cedis. Look, I had my boss call me and say, Godwin, you better change your money into dollar. Like, I'm telling you, it's like, you better change your money into dollar, because where this country is going, I'm telling you, Godwin, I quite check cry. If we're able to even solve the issue, and caught back to 7 or 8, we remain at 9 point something or even 10. So you better start changing it. Look, this is.
I was going to ask, could it ever go back?
All the way back?
Not all the way, but even if you wanted to go back,
let's say 9 or 8.
Yeah,
go back.
What's the minimum we can go?
Maybe around like 8.5.
Yeah. What would take us to go back to that number?
I'm happy because if somebody sends me $100,
$1,000, so we'll just take $1,000. That's a lot of money. That's where the problem is.
But it's very dangerous also as well, especially for businessmen.
Yeah.
And I read an article whereby someone did analysis about this inflation. and they said I had like 100,000 Ghana cedi, and someone has maybe $50,000.
Yeah.
You sleep overnight within like a week. The person has cedi, has depreciated his money, no fault of his. Your money just wipes away, and someone who has in dollar just makes money for just sleeping for a week. Basically, you understand?
Okay.
And I think we should take a very keen interest, and I've seen that the Bank of Ghana is doing some works in terms of clamping on this illegal Forex Bureau traders, and it's one of the major areas that I think.
How does the illegal Forex contribute? What, they hoard the dollar? Where did they get it from? And they hide it in their rooms or what?
That's the major question. Where do they get the dollar from?
Okay.
And if the point has been, if the Forex bureaus are making dollar available to people, obviously nobody will go to a wayside to change dollar, you understand? And the rates they are given is kind of
so is it concern? Is it availability concern, the rate, or hoarding? What?
So it's a domino effect. There's an availability problem. The demand for the dollar now is far exceeding the supply that we have. So that will give the Forex bureaus, especially legitimate Forex bureaus, the ability to overestimate the price, right? So maybe it's publicly trading on Forex markets at maybe 10.5, they can put it in their Forex bureaus at 11
something actually.
Yeah, exactly. The Bank of Ghana says about 9.8 something on it.
And then
and the Forex bureau are trading at 11.
Because there's a demand.
Yeah, and there's the demand, so people are still coming. So they will continue to.
Where are they demanding it to?
But it's because everybody's fear. Everybody's fear is what you said. Your boss is. Yeah.
Import-based economy.
Everything we buy is not Ghanaian. That's I mean, so
that's what the problem is, and that's how we solve those issues, isn't it?
Focus on more Ghana-made products and exports as opposed to imports, right? Putting even limitations on the people who do business by import. It's bad for individual businesses, but it's good for the country as a whole, right? And that's where the checks and balances come in again, because these people are, are big in the industry enough that they will influence policy to prevent such legislature from coming out.
Ghana beyond aid.
Ghana beyond
aid. In fact, we are okay. So let me say anything. When
the president said Ghana beyond aid, what did he mean? Did he mean that it means that we won't take any help at all?
No,
is that what he
it's not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible. I mean,
we'll take help, but it looks like now the help there we need it more.
We need it.
Is the help not a global problem?
What?
Is the help not a global problem?
But if you are saying the help is a global, who are you taking it from? You need help. You are taking help from somebody.
You? So why is the person able to
global space?
As assisting you.
No, but I mean that even countries as big as Russia, the US, they also take loans and so on, right? America has more debt than most countries, but the point is debt to their GDP ratio is a lot better than ours, right? So that's the thing. Those are the things we need to look at, not throwing away debt in general, right? Countries operate on it. We say the entire world is in, $75 trillion in debt or something like that. Who does the planet owe money to? It's really just the system of exchange. That's how the planet operates. So debt will not go away, but we need to make the ratio better.
So I'm worried about this one, the FDA destroying substandard contraceptives and aphrodisiacs. What's the supply chain like? What's on the value chain? Where does it start? Where is FDA? Because is this to say that prior to this, there were substandard contraceptives and aphrodisiacs already coming in, and people taking contraceptives? Because even the good contraceptive, the consequences are like, how much more the substandard one? What help me understanding? Who imports what? The value chain, how does it look like?
Okay, so I was a few months ago actually, and a company in Nigeria that does cosmetic products approached me and were trying to come into the market. And what we found out when we were working was obviously you need to bring in samples and so on of the product before you even start business or even importing to the country. What you should do is come with samples and things, present to FDA, let them take it through testing and give you approval for it before you even start importing even to your warehouse to say you're coming to look at business systems. But the excuse some people take is yes, we are going through the regulatory processes, is going through testing, we're just importing to wait to start business. But when it gets here, they are not going to let it sit in a warehouse. They will start to distribute, right? And the checks and balances again are not there to say we are checking in these pharmacies to see if these drugs that are in the testing procedures are being sold already, and some even circumvent it completely, right? Like the drugs that were seized, the people who bring it in, China, these like Asian countries, Thailand and so on, no name brand drugs, maybe like paracetamol, so on and so forth, and then they brand it when they get here. It was in one of the articles that the branding and the packaging were in separate like shipment boxes.
Oh, wow.
So somebody had designed their own branding and packaging for it, and somebody had imported medicine or drugs, and then when they come, they'll just brand it and start selling it as a new product.
But for me, that's not a major problem, because if somebody is importing drugs, which is standard, okay, and I've imported
packaging,
labeling just to sell, for me, it's not a problem.
Okay.
The problem is, I mean, if you are saying it's substandard, like MFA rightly said, it comes into the country. You don't allow certain products, which are consumables, to come in without testing at the port.
Of course.
So if you've been able to allow all these things to come in, and worth 10 million Ghana cedis, okay? And at the point, if you read the article, they are saying that the head of intelligence says they seized the product because they were not registered with FDA. I'm like, okay, registering with FDA is kind of, I mean, documentary procedure. But have you actually checked all the medicine to say that they are all substandard? If it's yes, fine, you can dispose them off. If there are some which are not substandard, and the state can take hold of it and resell, I mean, because we can't throw away 10 million Ghana cedis. I mean, for me, it doesn't really make reasonable sense to me.
But resell, they can test all the medicines?
So the drugs, do you test the sample or you test everything?
Yes, so before the business starts, they're supposed to present a sample to be tested. Now, when you make shipments into the country, is by random sampling. They can't test 10 million CDs worth of product. But you should pick a random, maybe 5 or 6 bottles and retest to make sure that what they gave you as a sample is what they are importing.
Wow. So still, there's a certain level of trust you need to put in the manufacturer.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Absolutely. No
Okay. What happens if you take a substandard aphrodisiac, gentlemen?
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know. I don't take
aphrodisiac. You'll probably be performing substandard.
That's a good one. That's a good one. For me, I think my little worry also is how will after the Africa Continental Free Trade Area also help make this problem worse? Because I understand that about 8 countries have started trading now in Africa. So do you think that it will be even easier for these products to enter our market, since it's a free market? So now it will be easier for these products to, if they're substandard. Do you think so, or it will still go through the same process as FDA, and and if it's not good, they will impound it?
No, I think free trade doesn't mean that you can just bring it in. You are still subject to the checks.
Right.
There's a certain regulatory requirement or certain amount you are supposed to pay to enter into the country. You might be waived off for use. Kind of. But still, you still go with the checks.
The checks, definitely. It will still be used. It's taxation and those kind of things that are being waived off. But the issue then becomes like getting it into the free trade space, right? If I was an importer now, I'll look for the ports that have the
easiest way of
entry. And when you get in, moving it within the region because of the agreement maybe becomes a bit simpler, right? Maybe the checks and balances that exist in Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria or something will be less. It's a mindset thing. You already went through the checks and balances in Ghana. Yes, we have to do it for you here, but if you've already passed, might as well, right?
Okay. I was looking at it as, well, I don't know how the system works, but if the checks and balances in Nigeria is poorer, and as an importer, maybe I live in Ivory Coast, I take it through Nigeria, then illegally bringing it into Ghana or Togo or Benin will also be easier with these articulators and stuff. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what I'm saying. So let's say if Ghana's own was easier than Nigeria, then I'd bring it to Ghana and take it there. But then obviously there should still be checks and balances in terms of the quality of the product between the countries, even if taxation is waived off. But again, if taxation is waived off, the countries have to look at it as it is not a profit-making activity. The money that they are spending on taking these products through testing, now that they are not taxing it the way that they used to, cost-benefit analysis, how many people can I put on it if it does not generate revenue for the country, right? So it would loosen those checks and balances in other countries. So people would start bringing it through whatever country is easier.
Do we have some messages?
So the drugs now, what we do to it? We'll destroy it or we'll
I mean, we should destroy it.
I disagree.
So when they say substandard, is it that the quality is low? If you drink it, it will kill you, or it hasn't been registered?
It could be all of them. It could be all of them.
Per the article,
all of them.
What the head of intelligence is saying is that one, it wasn't registered with them, which is a major concern.
Of course.
The second was that some were ordered in 2 different consignments, packaging from the. But they are not actually telling us that they are substandard itself
in terms of quality,
and that these are the components in there which is not good for human consumption. You get the point. So for me, what I'm saying is that let's do a test. Obviously not the 10 million
products, but obviously samples.
Their samples might be good. Obviously,
are they good? If some are good, then we just.
I assume that the substandard was actually in reference to the quality of the product.
Me too.
Right,
that's
exactly.
So
if from the point of view that you're looking at it, then that would bring up the question of maybe we should test it and still see if certain things could be done. But if the products themselves are substandard, we have no choice but to throw it away.
We have some 3 minutes to go quickly, but I want us to touch briefly, just adding to some of the stories that came up the weekend, this Agrada issue. Hopefully you guys can weigh in. I feel like we are young people. The narrative, like I said in our conversation during the pot thing, we all have a responsibility, you know. I sent MFA some video about some kids also doing their own thing. So I don't know if you guys saw those videos. Honestly, what do you make of this? Why do we still have this?
I have a confession. Listen, if she genuinely has powers that can double money, I promise I will take all of my money there. I will not say here. If it's not a scam, if I can see Yagani.
Are we? This was a. We'll see. Ben will say. Then Obiso will finish
amount to my But this woman is not Patricia. She doesn't look like somebody who doesn't have money.
She used to be a fetish priestess. Now she's an evangelist. You know, so I guess there's that faith in the person that if she used to do it as a fetish priestess, then she can do it as an evangelist.
But even at the time she was doing it as a fetish priest, it was said that it was fake.
Right.
It was
exactly. That's why I say
Sika Gary said she can change the money to plenty money like Gary. But the thing is, if she can do it,
I mean, if you can do it and you believe in it in terms of you just want your money double. I mean, my problem with the whole story was it is a Christian entity, it's a Christian church. If your argument is she did it as a fetish priestess, so she can still do it, then you as a Christian saying you are going as a church to my pastor or my evangelist to do so, and you believe only because she was a fetish priest, and you are not believing. It's not a Christian activity. You just believe you found a fetish priest who can double your money. You are going to them. And even the people who took it, where's the money? They are the ones lining up in front of the church complaining. But I got where's my money? She's right away with my money.
But the truth is, I mean, faith and reasoning sometimes. If you believe in something and something, your senses might not work properly. And I don't know why she even. You are arresting her for because it's a church. We all make donations. We go to church. We make offering donations.
Was this a call?
Donations and offerings are two different. I mean,
offerings
are one thing.
No. A pastor will say that. Come. I mean, you've made your salary. Come and pay me. God is blessing you.
That is not what she said.
But that's what she said. Physically, bring the money and double it.
Yes, like, of course, God will bless you. God will multiply your money.
She's the God. She's playing God now.
No, she is the one. Me, I will double it.
Yeah, but she was speaking as a woman of God.
Holy Spirit is in here.
Of course. God has told her that she.
I mean, we go to our churches and we make.
But my question is it that it was instant doubling? You see your money physically, or don't give you some special powers that when you go.
Everybody's asking for
personal question. I'm being consulted.
I don't know how the people then get their money back or I don't know.
I think they expected to get it back like immediately.
Yeah, because it depends on how. If my pastor tells me that MFA, you need to be paying your tithe, so that God will protect you, God will prosper you.
You are saying God, though.
No, but that's a faith exercise.
Whichever way.
I believe it will happen in my life.
I will for you when you get. Yes, she's a woman of God.
I'm paying this knowing that. Some way, somehow, one day when I come to work, I'll find grace.
This one,
but I'm talking about like if I give you 20 CDs,
give me the money, I'll give it to you back. You see, it's one thing a pastor telling that maybe when you come back to work, God will open opportunities for you, or even I will open opportunities.
One is faith,
and it shall be given unto you.
Yes, you see, by
press down.
Yes, one is faith.
One is faith. When you take it home, it's like in my life, it will come back onto me.
And another is
I'm coming. It's like you're going to the bank.
Give me 2 CDs, I'll give you 4 CDs.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what
I'll give you.
That's what will make it happen. So go back home. It will happen.
So back to this playing. You're playing the devil's advocate.
Generally, it's honestly just an education issue.
Absolutely.
People need to be, better educated.
Like I will take this my last 1,000 Ghana cedis and I'll get 2,000.
Yes, you do it. Hey, you do
People,
it. In a church premises, you
be
do
guided,
it.
be guided, be guided.
Do it.
Be guided.
He's a pastor, I'll do it. Guys, thank you.
Damon Osei, youth activist, Issa Fakisi, Chartered Insurer. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Wonderful discussion. Damon, anything with your
Yes, so things are still happening towards next year before the year starts. We're launching the Do More workshop. We'll be touring around the country for the first 6 months of the year, hopefully. Different schools, institutions, training colleges and universities to give an example of what we call practical education, what our education system should become. We're partnering with companies both here in the States and the UK that are ready to give that practical example of what your learning should look like, you're starting a business, the kind of things you should learn, how to develop a balance sheet, how to do accounts, those simple things that people are finishing accounting school 4 years and they cannot do it.
Balance sheets.
Right? So something that simple. So those are the kind of things we want to teach people, things you can go and use, not things you can answer questions with.
E-education.
E-education.
We've been trying to push this gentleman to represent us, LSA or SRC. Which one have you decided on? SRC president or LSA? Which one? This is live TV, LSA president. Yes, so we are sure. Make the official announcement.
Wandakuto, good morning to you.
So based on this, I would like to say a very good morning to the Gimpa community, especially with the law faculty students.
Allah, find the form. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you for
so watching the AM Club on MX24 TV. Lifestyle leader. Next, we have Motivation Monday. Stay.
I present to you one of the finest, one of the best gospel choir in the world, all the way from the city of Lagos. These guys gave us the gift of Omo Baba. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me the spirit of